Good evening, everyone. Dolphin Oracle here again tonight, and just a quick video tonight to go over an app that we added in the middle of the MX21 run, and that app is Disk Manager. A lot of people ask, hey, how do I make some random partition that I want to mount at boot mountable every time that I start up? And the classic answer in the Linux world is, edit your etc.fstab file and put in the definition there, and you're good to go. That's great. It's technical gobbledygook for a lot of people who aren't used to looking at an fstab file, and we understand that. Disk Manager is the utility for not only for mounting and unmounting disk partitions, but also for saving configurations to your fstab in a way that is sane defaults and convenient for the user. So this is the main interface for Disk Manager. We have several columns. We have an enable column, a device column, mount point, the type, that's the format usually of the device, the size, how much is free and how much is used. A lot of good information for each one. You can see I have some check marks here. I'll get to those check marks in just a second, but I want to talk about these columns first. You can change the device order, and any column you point will resort the fields. Okay, maybe not the most important thing in the world to you, but it might be if you have a lot of partitions and you're looking for, gee, I knew that one partition was huge and I can't find it. That will help you out a little bit. You can see by default it's sorted by device, then partition number. Now take a look at the icons with the device. The little arrows there will indicate a device that is not currently mounted, and the little drives indicate a device that is currently mounted. And you can see I have my Steam games. I have a partition for Steam games mounted, a data partition, which is actually NTFS, and then a data ext partition, which is a classic ext4 partition for Linux, and those are always mounted. You can see the checkboxes; those are always mounted. What the checkbox means is that when we enable them, that we save whatever mounting configuration to the etc fstab file, and then that gets processed on a reboot, so that your drives, if you've configured them as such, will be automatically available later. For the most part, the defaults assume that if you check a box here, it's going to auto mount the drive, and that's certainly what I've done with my drives. If you want to mount a drive without adding it to the fstab, then you can just double click on it, and it'll open in your default file manager. You can see the checkbox is not checked. The icon did change, indicating that it's mounted, and then I can access those files if I want to. And if I want to unmount it, I can go ahead and unmount it. You see the icon changes, and you know that it's unmounted. We also have an edit dialog box for each device. Now this edits the information that is available in the fstab file. Do you care? I don't know, you might care. Particularly if you need to do something funky, like I have something funky a little bit set up with my data partition here to make sure it passes the user ID and GID of my user. And also I have a nice little comment here to make it show up in file managers. There are all sorts of defaults that are available. I'm going to just make a new one here and see if we can set it. And now you can see kind of the default that you would get. This recovery partition on my computer is not used for anything, but we have the defaults, and then we have some other usability things here to make sure that it's usable for most people out of the gate. And again, if I wanted to save those configurations, I could check the box. I can also change those defaults. If I don't want this thing to auto mount it, boot up, but I still want an fstab for some reason, well, we just take the defaults out. This defaults usually means that it's auto mountable. We take that out and put in whatever custom options that we want. And we're going to assume that if you want something custom, you can look into fstab options yourself. But this does give you a handy GUI for taking care of those things. These that are already checked were already in my fstab. You can see my data part was custom, so is my Steam games part, but I don't have anything fancy. I just have the media point set to where I want to, so that it's accessible. And I have some scripts that I have set up for my own purposes that know those particular paths, so I like them set up the same way every time, and this is a nice convenient way for me to do that, to change the default paths. A couple other nice things. The information box will show you information about the device, the actual partition volume, and the various size statistics for the device. Even for unmounted drives, you get some of that information. Whoops, wrong button. You get some of that information there with the volume information, but the free space and everything's not available unless the drive's mounted already. And real quick, I just want to, we also have help buttons, which is one of the ads that we did for Disk Manager. Didn't originally have a help button, but also I want to give a quick shout out to Mertens Florent, who I believe is the original developer of this application. Some time ago we reached out. He was not intending to continue development when Python 2 was deprecated and everything moved to Python 3. He said, sure, if you want it, you can take it over. So we've kind of adopted it. And the location for now is in the MX Git repo. Second quick shout out to the people that worked on it. Well, me a little bit, but most of the work went with Nightcoder, who managed to convert the GUI over into something usable on Python 3, and then also Felix in our group who did a lot of work tweaking the Python code for the mounting and unmounting of partitions, and in particular the listing of partitions that are available. At any rate, that's a quick shout out about Disk Manager, one of the convenient tools on all releases of MX Linux. As of the MX 21.1 release, and it was pushed out in an update, so anybody that's running MX should probably have this already, and it's just a little bit more targeted. A lot of people recommended using GNOME disks for taking care of fstab. This is just a little more distro agnostic, a little more desktop agnostic way of taking care of your partitions and getting them mounted at boot up and getting them added to etc.fstab. For tips, tricks, how-tos, head over to annexlinux.com or mxlinux.org. This is Dolphin Oracle signing off. Have a great night.